Warning: the Chaotic Culture podcast is a program for mature audiences. The language and content presented in this podcast is of a mature nature that some audiences may not find suitable. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Embrace the culture, blaze the doja, grab your loved ones and bring them closer. Extra, extra, read the poster, the KKP is taking over. Sleeping on me, better smell the Folgers. I've been razor sharp since the Motorola. Off for O, like the cover Oprah. Popping bottles, feet all in the sofa. It's a celebration, though the times is hard. It's raining blessings, give it up to God. Chaotic culture, the greatest pod. With Ked the Pro, the one in charge. But it's a celebration, times is hard. It's raining blessings, give it up to God. Chaotic culture, the greatest pod. With Ked the Pro, the one in charge.
We're living in a chaotic culture. 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 Oh, we're living in a chaotic culture. 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 Oh, we're living in a chaotic culture. 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 Oh, we're living in a chaotic culture. We're living in a chaotic culture. We're living in a chaotic culture. We're living in a chaotic culture.
I did not expect to have to come and do this today. This was not in the plans. This was not in the books. I was literally not planning on releasing an episode this week. I wanted a little time to recover from Anime Weekend Atlanta and then chop it up with you guys on the next Wednesday. But due to circumstances, we're here today. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special edition of the Chaotic Culture Podcast, the pod where chaos rules and Black culture is elevated. This is your boy, Ked the Pro, once again coming to you due to unfortunate circumstances here once again. And today, I have one of my co-hosts with me, Johnny, aka Jay Lee Trey. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself real quick, bro.
Yeah. Wait, this sounds weird. Hey, y'all. Good morning. Blessings, salutations, and shalom to everybody. My name is Johnny, aka Jay Lee Trey, also known as Jay for short. Aka the Breakfast, the French Toast Bandit, not Breakfast Bandit. Shout out to Rob J. Inside the Mind of a Blur. Also aka Him Shui Kiraku now. I guess that's a word that's gonna be used. And fresh off of AWA as well, and a resident of said place called the North. You know what I'm saying? So there we go.
Yeah, man. So if you haven't figured it out, obviously we are reacting and going to be talking about the unfortunate passing of one of the former members of Migos and the member of Unconfused, obviously, Takeoff. Now, it's kind of hard to figure out where to start because this was just this blindsided everybody, obviously. And for those who know Takeoff, you know that he was, for the most part, unproblematic. Man stayed in the cut, making music, minding his business. Didn't do nothing but, drop his 16 and get up out the way, as a lot of people would say. He was probably the best lyricist on that squad. At least in my
You're
opinion.
preaching. We all say that here in Gwinnett County. Shout out ATL for all of us in Gwinnett County. We all say that, bro. He was the best Migo for sure. Absolutely correct.
I have always appreciated his lyrics, his verbiage, his technique overall was phenomenal, man. When they started changing the flows to that Bone Thugs and Harmony style, and I always give credit to Bone Thugs for at least being one of the groups who originated that style. It's like you're bringing that old style back to the forefront, and now just about everybody uses it in this day and age of hip hop. And being on the cusp of that, he really perfected the way that he perfected that rap. I'm just gonna say it like that. That technique, the bars that he came with, it was like, wow, okay. So I think Johnny has at least more news on what exactly happened, but obviously, according to the news reports, that he was shot and killed at a bowling alley in Houston. I believe it was it billiards and bowling?
Yeah, billiards and bowling, right down the street from House of Blues. I've been there a couple of times. Shout out to my brother that lives in Houston. What's good, Brandon? Um, yeah, I actually went there for his birthday like 3 years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, very knowledgeable of the area, at least of where that area that happened at for sure.
Okay. Doesn't seem like a problematic area because I've been to Houston a few times, but I don't think I've been in the area with House of Blues. So, um, yeah, crazy.
It's very unproblematic over there.
Okay.
It's one of the, how we say, us black people say, gentrified area.
Ah, yeah.
Up and coming, has pretty much everything over there. I mean, of course, House of Blues is there, but you got the billiards and bowling, you got Lucky Strike over there, you got putt putt golf over there. There's a few different bars over there that have like different themes, like themed bars. On it's a
Uh-huh.
road behind um, billiards and bowling. Uh, it's like a skyscraper full of different businesses. So this just happens on a particular level of the skyscraper. I think it's the second or third where billiards and bowling is,
Okay.
and yeah, just unfortunately that's where it took place. So
Oh, you said where Lucky Strike. Well, see, have been in that area because I went to Lucky Strike last year. So wow. Okay. Shit.
yeah, it's not that far from there. Lucky Strike
Mm,
is literally, I think, a block and a half down, if
okay.
if even that. So
Damn. Damn, yo. Cool. So with that being said, it's really just hard for us to even actually have to come here and talk about it because I could say so much, and at the same time, I'm like, what the hell do I say? Because you've heard me talk about it on this podcast at least a million times at this point. I've said it. It seems like every other podcast episode that black men and rappers especially deserve to grow old, man. And with the fact that he was only 28 when this shit happened, it's just mind-boggling. It really is mind-boggling. And we could go into like the discourse about the culture surrounding hip-hop culture and the need to protect oneself, obviously, but just how at least in my opinion, how we are so often quick to make a life or death decision for small or petty altercations. Uh, at least in this day and age, it just seems to be a really heightened level of not tolerating anything and just going straight for the tool as opposed to letting cooler heads prevail or even fist fighting if it comes to that. Again, I'm not saying that nobody deserves to have their two a rights taken away. Obviously, I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment, except for when it comes to military grade weapons. That's an entirely different story. But
now you
um,
preaching.
yeah, but still, when people, it just seems that they are, again, at least in this day and age, again, willing to go and pull out the weapon before the situation can get what's the word I'm looking, de-escalated. So that being said, Takeoff, it doesn't seem like he was involved in the situation because if you know Takeoff, you know that he was, again, he was the quiet one. He pretty much stayed out the way. He kept in the cut, and he did that purposely. He, didn't post a lot on social media, unless it was promoting music. So I guess let's just get a breakdown of exactly what happened.
Um, so approximately around 2:30 a.m. Texas time, so that would be Central. If you're in Houston, if you're in Dallas, it's like a little. I think it's like an hour behind or something like that, or 2 hours behind. But um, at around 2:30 a.m., Migos was in Houston. Well, let me just put it like this: Quavo and Takeoff were in Houston. I can't say Migos. If you talk about Migos, talk about all three.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they were in Houston. They were fresh off like pretty much like promoting their album. Uh, only built for Infinity Links. And for those who do know or have listened to the album, it's maybe the best rap album this year. Uh, one of them for sure. Um, and besides, of course, we got Kendrick and stuff like that, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
So um, they was coming from Florida, going to Houston. They were doing it their rounds, fresh off a costume party in Florida, and this is where it comes into niggas do nigga stuff, regardless of where we're from. Some things are just normal. Shooting dice or playing cards, dominoes, whatever. These things are normal. Obviously, I've been in situations personally where dice games have gotten heated over a couple of dollars, 20s, whatever. Probably talking about some big money. Obviously, dice game is a dice game, no matter which way you fold it.
Mm-hmm.
And according to what has been said online, and also some stuff that I've heard personally from other people that live in the same area as me. Shout out to Gico, Gwinnett County. Put it like this: Quavo got upset about something. Folks got into altercation. Security was trying to keep people apart. Around 3 a.m., shots go off. And it wasn't even intended for Takeoff. It wasn't intended for Quavo either, which is very interesting at that.
Mm.
And Takeoff ended up catching a stray. Some people say it's to the neck. Some people say it's to the head. You can't tell for those who did watch the video, which I do want to say on the Chaotic Culture podcast. If you are out there reposting that video or like sharing it in your text messages or sending it to people, please stop.
Stop,
Um,
please.
because we as a people, and I'm just speaking to my African American, Black, Indigenous people, listen, we gotta stop publicizing death like it's just so normal and it's like something that we have to look at. We
Mm-hmm.
don't have to look at this stuff. Like 100%, we just don't have to. That's the first thing. Number two is that out of the respect of not only Quavo, who was his uncle, on top of that, Offset, who was the cousin, and the rest of his kids, and also the rest of the family and friends of Takeoff for real. Um, what if they didn't know until later on today, and they had to find out through the internet versus an official call from the Houston Police Department or something of that nature? Um, we've seen that happen with Nipsey, where Lauren London found out on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that happen with PNB Rock, how people were chastising his girlfriend, talking about the girlfriend set him up at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have the same type of conversation with Quavo, saying that Quavo set Takeoff up. I'm here to tell y'all right now, as a person that lives here, no, that did not happen. It was a dice game. Things got heated. Things happened. Um, Unfortunately, due to that, Takeoff did get hit, and now he's not here. Um, it's hard for me to even say that because I am not born in Atlanta. I got family here, got roots here, lineage here. But what I can say is that today has been different. You can't replicate waking up 6 in the morning and that's the first thing you hear. And then you go on Twitter and you see it's real. And then you randomly see the video because somebody reposted it. And then it goes from there, like, then the rumors start. Then it goes to these think pieces. Then it's
Mm-hmm.
the black on black crime situation. Then it turns into gun violence situation or all of this. Like, we need to take a moment to pause, give things 48 hours, and let people celebrate Takeoff's life. And let's not focus on so much of the bigger issues at hand because we're so quick to find a solution, but we're not quick to grieve. And that I think that's a big thing that people got to realize, especially in our community. Grieve the way you need to grieve. Stop trying to figure stuff out like you're Carmen Sandiego. You're not Detective Conan. You're not CSI. You're not Law and Order SVU. You're none of that. Let it live. Um, I did want to say that, but at the end of the day, that's what happened. That's what we know so far. And I just want to say, like, personally, like, I didn't even want to come on the show today. I'll be real. Like, I didn't tell Ked that. And I'm actually like crying, like talking about this, but he's like Takeoff is the reason, some of the reason that I love the Migos. Like it was never just like one of them. It was like, or just it was never all three. It was like Takeoff was the standout for me always because he was just chill. He reminded me of myself. He had his hair like me and his hairstyles exactly the same. I get funny joke of at work or also in real life. Oh, you look like that nigga. Okay, thanks, whatever. But it's like Kid already mentioned it that staccato flow. Of course, it comes from Bone Thugs originally, but like Takeoff taught Offset and Quavo that flow. For those who do know, like before it was the Migos, it was YRN, Young Rich Niggas. That's what it was. And the No Label mixtape, No Label 2, like you can tell that the flow was being passed on to both of them. And Takeoff is very unique with that flow. People talking about they couldn't understand him because it's baritone and stuff like that, but the boy had a flow that you couldn't even touch. And so much to where Drake jump on Versace and sound like him. Like, let's be honest. And it's just very, very unfortunate that we have to, and we're almost closing out the year. We have to mourn someone that's 28, very influential, not just in the rap game, but just in music in general. And the wealth of knowledge he has had with music. Like he might be the most hood knowledgeable Negro in famous history that I ever known that will always pay homage to the past like hip hop legends. Like he the one that came up with the album cover and the name for him and Quavo's album because it was an OD to Raekwon. Only built for Cuban links, but this is only built for Infinity links. And they just talked about this on Drink Champs. Shout out Nori and I forgot the DJ name. I can never remember his name. But they just talked about the Infinity Link and how strong it is. It's stronger than any link on the planet. And for that to be broken over something as a dice game is very, very rough. So that's what we know so far.
Man, I'm like you, man. It's kind of hard talking about this, because all things get considered again, as you said, like he was the one. He was the one who taught Offset and Quavo that flow. Uh, he pretty much, in my opinion, was the glue that at least tried to hold everything together. I'm not sure exactly what was going on between Quavo and Offset, but it seemed that with Takeoff, I listened to part of that Drink Champs episode, and it was like, regardless of the beef, at least Quavo was still like, no, we still family, even if Quavo and Offset not seeing eye to eye, and if this incident didn't happen and Offset never rejoined the Migos, then at least Takeoff held in his heart that that's still my blood, that's still family. We still, gonna be 100. Whatever happens, we gonna get through it. But to see that his life was taken the way that it was, it's crazy. It's really just bothersome, just because speaking on that Black trauma, for us as people, we continue to share these videos of hip hop artists, in their final moments. And that's something that I really wish we would break, that habit. That is such a terrible habit to have, of reposting those traumatic videos, and not just for the family's sake, but just for our sake as well, because who in their right mind really wants to see that? Like, I don't want to see one of my favorites lying in the pool of their own blood. Like, I got so triggered when that video got reposted on my timeline. I was like, I can't watch this. Why did y'all do that? Now that makes me feel some kind of way. It it just really boggles the mind that we are so used to normalizing black trauma and black pain that way. And I really wish our people would break that habit and just have a way for us to actually grieve the way that we should. We don't need the think pieces because we already know that they were coming out. We don't need any blame to be pointed right now because even if the situation could have been avoided, unfortunately, it happened. And the last thing, we don't need to get into the debates on black crime or proximity crime is what I really call it. And get into the whole thing because there were some racist comments like, oh, well, we what about y'all not blaming the police this time? And I'm just like, that has nothing to do and with this situation. Police brutality or uh black people suffering at the hand of police brutality has nothing to do with this and has nothing to do with proximity crime. This is just cooler heads did not prevail, and unfortunately somebody innocent lost their life. And I just don't really know how to say this without getting angry again because it just seems that we continuously uh have to go through this and post it like it's normal because just this year alone, how many rappers did we lose, man? We lost so many. We could talk about the ones that we lost last year, how we lost Dolph or even years prior, how we lost Nip, how we lost Pop Smoke or X, but just this year alone, if we're gonna go back to the beginning, like how we lost Lil Keed, um
Facts. Rest in peace, Lil Key.
how we lost Trouble. Oh man, I can't listen to Key to the Streets no more, man. I'm gonna be heartbroken.
That trouble one hurt. That hurt here
Yeah.
too. Same way.
Shit. Um, how we lost PNB Rock and other little known artists like Pat Slay, how we lost Desto, Key Riches, even going to legends like K Slay and Coolio, though it wasn't from gun violence, but still losing those. And then, let me not forget Snooty Wild. I can't believe we lost him too.
Damn, I forgot about
Yeah,
Snoopy. Rest in peace, Snoopy.
yeah. This is just crazy how many we've lost this year alone. And I know a lot of people back in the day said like losing one or two to gun violence in the span of a year was already crazy enough, but to see 10, 11, 12, and possibly even more in a year, it seems like it's normalized now. And again, that just goes back to the culture that we live in. We currently live, I guess, in a heightened culture where everyone is more shoot first, ask questions later. And I wish we would just get out of that kind of mindset and find a way to de-escalate situations that can be de-escalated without having to the use of pulling out the toolie. But that being said, I don't want to put this solely on the music because a lot of people will say, oh, well, we in rap music, we glorify these kinds of things. I'm like, well, yeah, but let's not forget how rap was born. Let's not forget that these hip hop parties and how hip hop music was birthed. And that stems from the socioeconomic problems that Black people had from the 60s and 70s, even all the way up to now. So, unfortunately, this is something that has been I wanted to try and avoid the systemic racism talk, but this was systematically built into hip hop culture from day one.
You
Knowing
preaching,
where,
bro.
yeah, knowing where hip hop was born and how these hip hop artists, came to be, and from where they came from, man. This unfortunately has been a part of this culture since its very beginning because of the socioeconomic targeting of Black people. And we can really, really get into a discussion about that, but I'm trying to, save for time. The most important thing that I just wanted to express again is that these rappers, man, they don't deserve to die at such a young age, man. And all of these rappers deserve to grow old and see their kids get older and maybe possibly see their grandchildren. And it stems back to how I said in a previous episode how I don't know of too many legends who are going to see 70. There are probably a few who have already reached there. Uh like we still got Cool Herc, the DJ who started it all, quote unquote. But
Rappers
what
deserve gray hairs.
yes, they do, man. They absolutely do. I it's just it doesn't seem like it's just not fair, man. It's really not. But and I know life can't be fair, but it is what it is. Rap music is the only genre where this seems to be happening time after time after time again. It is happening too consistently. We don't hear about any of this happening in country music or in other quote unquote white based genres because we know where they all come from, but you don't really hear that much happening in those genres. And it's sad that rap music has become such a targeted genre of music for that. Not
You, you
only
know, you know
from
what's
Mhm.
interesting. Not to cut you off, but like, do you know like what's very interesting about that? What you just said. Um, it doesn't happen in other like genres of music, which is interesting. And I think not to even try to go down a systemic racism route, but I think because, and it's just being honest and real, and y'all can challenge me on my personal Instagram or Twitter, just at me at Jaylee Trey. It's fine, I don't care. But I think some of it is that we we have a, some people call it crab in the bucket mentality. Some people
Mhm.
call it um you ain't gonna make it unless I make it with you mentality or whatever. But we're always fighting to get somewhere, right? So that's a thing that we have to do. We have to always work 10 times as hard to get successful in this country or wherever else we're at in life or in the world. And then that also translates into our music because we gonna make a way somehow, whether that be, and I'm not condoning illegal activities. I'm just saying what they are. Swiping, which is credit card theft, or selling anything, or but either way, go. We're gonna make ends meet. Not to focus on that, but we're gonna make ends meet somehow, some way.
Mhm.
It can be gambling, it can be whatever, sports betting, whatever it is. Black folks gonna find a way to make it right. They're gonna find a way to make these bills get paid and also have some money on the side so they can stunt and do whatever. Part of the reason we stunt anyway because we never had nothing. So we finally get something. It gives us more than a reason to be like, hey, look, I got it. You know what I'm saying? Yes, it is showboat mentality. I hate the term of like, well, the white people don't do that. Well, they not us. They
Yep.
already had it. We never had nothing. So
Exactly.
the whole too many diamond chains, too many this, too many that. Nah, shut up. That's just what we do. Like, because that shows people like us, like you can do it too. It's more of a motivational thing versus it being like they're wasting money. You're not wasting money because you got it. You wouldn't have bought it if you didn't have it. But then it leads to the point of like to the violence point. What they also do is what it also does naturally is create a culture of envy. No matter what, no matter how you look at it, no matter what type of way you look at it, it creates that culture.
Yep.
So then, same people that's rising up to be the top. Point example, Takeoff, just not really opening up to the world for real. Regardless of what y'all, a lot of people think that he was always. No, he wasn't. Takeoff was very standoffish, very in the back, very chill. Didn't really do nothing. Like he was just really in the cut. That's what he did.
Mhm.
But for him to finally start opening up now, and then for him to be taken in the middle of the rise for himself, um, even though it is a straight bullet per se, uh, it's still the point of like there all of this success or what things that we do as black culture, it does create also this culture of envy and also like the crab in the bucket mentality and it's the unfairness of it all. And it's just something that I think us as people, we can try to change it as long as we're acknowledging like, hey, we do this because of X, Y, and Z, because we never had anything we never were able to even be given anything. So now when we finally get something, we're going to show it. I seen some comments today where it's just like he shouldn't have been out there all them chains on. Well, he didn't have no chains on.
Right.
let's let's keep it a buck. Like he wasn't out there flashy. He had some velour sweatpants, a white t-shirt, and I think maybe one chain or maybe two. But it wasn't like nothing crazy. Like if you know the Migos, for those who are listening, if you know who the
Mm-hmm.
Migos are and how they really come outside, you know they out there with like a minimum 10, maybe 15 chains on each. So
Yes.
it's like they wasn't out there like that. But for people to say that, like, oh, like he got robbed or he was trying to get no, that isn't what happened. It was a money escalated issue. Somebody got mad about losing some money in a dice game. You know, people got heated. And also, this is just to the Houston part. Mob Security was the name of the company. They are the ones that run all the security in Houston when it comes down to these artists when they come down
Mm-hmm.
there. And this is on their head now. It's a
Yep.
no-fly zone in Houston right now. And the reason being is because rappers don't die in Houston like this. They don't die like this. They may
Mm-hmm.
die, but they don't die in this fashion. They don't die in a way of like with all the security that Migos usually carries. And those who do know the Migos, they have a lot of security, a lot of them, and they are armed at all times. I'm talking about not armed with just pistols, armed with them things,
Yep.
military grade. And for Mob to let this slip, and I don't want to say that like, it was their fault, but they're also responsible for that. That should have never happened. Um, the moment Migos move, you need to be moving with them within zero point 0.5 inches. I have a friend at home that does security for artists back home in Michigan, and he tells us all the time they're in zero point 0.5 to an inch by the talent. They have to be because if they don't, people get real touchy feely. Things can happen. Somebody can get stabbed, jabbed with an injection or something. You never know. Um, but for Mob to be kind of lackadaisical in this moment because it's 3 a.m. or listening to what Quavo or Takeoff could say, like, hey, like, just chill out, we good type shit. You never good. You a high value asset. You never good. And that's speaking to any rapper. You're never good out here, yo. Keep it
Mm-hmm.
on you or keep your security on you. You got to. You got to protect yourself. We still black. We still niggas, yo. Word to Jay-Z. We still niggas. And no matter what, bro, there's somebody out there. Speaking back to the culture of envy, there's somebody out there that may not like you in some type of way. And these things can come up. So you don't want to get caught lacking. I'm not saying that Takeoff and Quavo got caught lacking. I'm just saying that things got escalated and they should have been protected in that moment in time.
You are absolutely 100% correct. And just to comment off of that, unfortunately, it is a shame that rappers have to do that, but it just speaks to the culture that we're in when in regards to black culture. It's like we gotta, unfortunately, we live in a culture where we have to protect ourselves. It's unfortunately, I don't want to say charges to the game, but it is a part of the game at this point. And again, it just goes back into those to to again systemic racism, and it could go back even further to Jim Crow laws and things like that. Black people didn't have anything, and were pushed into these social economic problems to where we're literally trying to fight just to maintain. And I could also get into how these record companies and how these radio stations and these other labels, helped push that narrative of gun culture or violent culture, quote unquote, into black music, especially.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also say, well, why is it that when movies glorify gun culture and things of that nature, yet you don't see those same problems out in the world? And a lot of people want to blame it on, those who want to blame it on video games and whatnot. Well, I'm like, that has nothing to do with anything outside of like it's not a big influence as much as the ops want to try and make it seem that video games and violent movies have something to do with it. You don't see that happening within Black culture or in other these other cultures here. It's
Mm-hmm.
a unfortunately it is an issue within Black culture that we just have to find a way to resolve, and it's really tough. It is really tough, but that's
I have a question because you've been around. You've been around as much as like I am. I have questions particularly, and I
yo.
would love to see what you say. What would you say to those like? Because I'm like, look, I keep it. I keep it on me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We fresh off of AWA. Um, we were somewhere where it could have went that way. You know what I'm saying? It
Mm-hmm.
could have easily got out of hand if cooler heads did not intervene and make sure people stayed a certain way. But my question is, as a because now I'm gonna just talk about all the entertainment, not just rappers. So black rappers, black content creators, black individuals that have a platform. What would be the best plan of action to ensure not only our safety, but also ensure the safety of those also around us? Like, what do we suppose to do? Do we just keep it on us, also consistently by security all the time, or do we find other ways where it's like, hey, like, do we just stop doing the things that kind of like got us here? Whether if it was Migos are hood niggas, bro. You're gonna shoot dice. That's just what
Yeah.
happens. That's a normal thing in that world. It's not too crazy. I know the ops think that. I seen a tweet about that. It's not the case, bro. I don't care. You can play dice in the casino, so shut up. It's part of culture.
Yes.
They just call it a different name. They call it craps. Just like women call it tracks. Black women call it tracks. White women call it extensions. It's the same situation, bro. Weave extensions, all the same. They just want to take it a certain way into a different culture. But that's my question of how do we consistently keep ourselves not only protected for us, but also for everybody else that's around us in these type of situations? Do we consistently just keep the tool or the gun or whatever, which then also still is quote unquote leading into the violence portion, or do we keep security, or do we just kind of stay in hiding at that portion where it's just like we just don't go outside? Now we got to just stay in the house.
Well, I know that we can't stay in the house because I don't want to live my life in fear, but at the same time, I think you have to be strategic as far as where you go and who you like surround yourself with. So in the case of Takeoff, obviously the security, I will lay blame at the security before I lay blame at Quavo. Uh, it's like
That's
because
a
at the end
fact.
of the day, both of their lives should have been protected, and we lost Takeoff because of that and because of lapse in security. So uh and that's a very interesting question that you pose because I don't think there's any real right answer until we find a way for I think the majority of black people to find a way to actually like come together and I don't want to say end the violence because obviously, the cycle will continue no matter where it is. There's always going to be some fool nigga out there who does some dumbass shit, but maybe it takes like the rap artists to come together and find a way to like not give back to the communities, but have these discussions with their community about what is, acceptable and what is not. And I don't know, because then even if you think about that, some people are, taught that this is a way to live. So it might be up to us to find ways to figure out how to educate the youth on these kind of matters and on these happenings and how to always not resort to violence for petty situations. There's got to be a way that we can educate the ones behind us and reach back to the ones behind us to make sure that one, the violence is quelled, but then in situations like where you become famous, whether it's in the entertainment industry, whether it's in music or whether it's in content creating, of ways of protecting yourself. I always say, security might be the best option, but you have to vet your security. You got to be sure that you're surrounding
Mm-hmm.
yourself with the best protection. And and make sure that that their track record is, for lack of a better term, is 100%. Well, yeah, that is 100%. You don't want to find us a security that might have had some questionable motives, or maybe you've seen other people use them and they don't necessarily do the best job. I think it just all comes down to research and vetting. And then again, I am still a proponent of at least, protecting yourself. And at any point in time, if you got to carry them, by all means, do it. Again, I don't want to get into discussion of, as you said, carrying them things on you, for real, because I do not believe in having military style weapons. I do not believe in carrying those, but somebody does. Either way, um, I think it's just there's a fine line of knowing what is protecting yourself and not to retaliate in anger.
There
And
you
I
go.
think, yeah, I think
I think
that's
you hit it.
we have to define what that line, and we have to teach what that means. Like when you realize that your life is in serious danger, then hey, I got to resort to using the weapon. Um, but if you're angry at something or upset about something, and somebody might have said something and whatnot, your first step shouldn't be, what, I'm a teach you a lesson, and pull out the gun on you. I think ultimately it boils down to, again, that education of protection versus retaliation.
Damn, I like you. I like you said. I like the way you said that. And also, I think on that point of protection versus retaliation, I think even also teaching people the right way of how to use a gun, not the to the side, New Jack City
Mm-hmm.
boys in the hood way. You know what I'm saying? There is a proper way of using a firearm. Like I am
Yes.
also am I am a 2A advocate, 100%. Um, and there is a right way to use it. You know what I'm saying? But also, it comes with responsibility.
Yep.
Like you have life and death in the side of your on the side of your hip, or you carry like a AR pistol or something. You got it on your chest. Like you have life and death right there. And some of the things that, or maybe a lot of the things, majority of things that happen in life, black, white, whoever you are, don't or does not need to resolve into deathly harm. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't need to go that far. In this case, for Takeoff, money is replaceable. Life is not. So
Yep.
what? Person lost so much money. You get into an argument. So what? Um, like who that's another thing too. I think that's another component. We have to get to a place where like us as people, especially people from other walks of life, stop telling people, yo, you gonna let them talk to you like that? Like, yo, fight, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Just fight. Fight, make a crack a joke or something. Do something else.
Yeah, I'm
But you gonna
saying,
kill
like,
somebody because they hurt your feelings? That's crazy.
very, very. Like, I can't tell you how many times I used to get bullied and whatnot. They crack a joke on me, and someone's like, "You're gonna let them get away with that?" I'm like, "As long as they don't put their hands on me, we fine. They can crack
That's
all
a
the jokes
fact,
they
bro.
want." And the
Yeah,
moment they put
you
their hands on me, we got to scrap. We got to throw hands.
we got a scrap now. But just because I lose a fight don't mean now I'm about to go home, grab my daddy gun, and go shoot somebody. That's crazy. I'm
Yeah,
not about to
nah. I
to no no.
I can live the fight another day. I could go and train, get back in this gym. Or at the time, when I was a kid, I took martial arts. Like, okay, get back into the classroom and find out, or the dojo in this case, and find a better ways and means of protecting myself. So that way, next time somebody put their hands on me, I know the proper way to dispose of them. So that way, I can secure the W for that day and keep it pushing.
That's a fact. And that comes down to also like for those who do have guns, you train yourself every single day. So when it's time to actually use the protection versus it being retaliation, um, you know how to properly use it. Me also being a trained MMA, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and also Muay Thai kickboxing, like you have to consistently be in the moments of like stress and like high intensity to know what to do when it does happen. And I think a lot of times people haven't experienced that, which is another component to our culture where like a lot of people say they like, man, if it was me, I would have did this. You really don't know what that is until you get in that high intensity moment. So you really don't know. And you have to train yourself in that moment, like how to react, how to be calm, and how to do this. Because of course somebody swing on you, you get hit. Hell yeah, your body, your whole entire like being, especially if you black, is gonna be like hit this person back or do something back. But this it also takes control in those situations. So like I shouldn't have to go like if somebody deck me in my nose, now I'm gonna go grab my gun and shoot them because they punched me in the nose. Now I took somebody's life versus just letting y'all scrap it out or somebody have to break it up or whatever. Like people get, you can sue somebody for punching you, y'all. Like there's money
Mm-hmm.
involved. Do that. We grown now. We of age. We're not in high school or middle school where you fight and you just go home, get suspended, and come back outside. This ain't how that happens. Like now we're at moments where if somebody hits you, you can sue them. You can you can find monetary value in those things where it's like you don't have to resort to going and get a gun and go shoot somebody because your pride is hurt. Like,
Yep.
nah, bro, it don't take all that.
It
Especially
really
some
don't.
money that you can get back. You can get some money back. Come on now.
Yeah, you're 100% correct, man. As you said before, money is replaceable. Anything material is replaceable, but people are not. I say this all the time in my
No,
job. I'm like, man, look, cars are replaceable. People are not. Vehicles are replaceable. People are not. So when people get into those serious accidents and whatnot, I always ask, hey, are you okay? Because you only get one life to live. So at any rate, I think it's a good time to go ahead and close out because I didn't want us to talk about this for too long, because we could get into the deeper conversations of how the system has targeted black music in general, or we could get into those systemic racism, dialing back all the even before um society as it is now and how that plays a role into where we are today. We could talk all about that and we can dive into those rabbit holes, but I think those are discussions for other times. But to our audience members, I
fact.
do leave you with this, just be mindful of the company that you keep, and just moreover, you know, protect yourself, but know the difference between protection and retaliation. And then on top of that, man, just if you're out here, if you're affected by this, our prayers are with you, our love is with you. We send love and light your way. We're struggling with this still too. If you've listened to any of Migos projects dating back all the way to Versace, all the way to No Label and No Label 2, all the way down to Only Built for Infinity Links, which I was actually in the middle of listening to the beginning of this week before I got this news, so now I got to finish it. It's rough, man, and it's rough in hip hop culture right now, especially in areas like Atlanta and especially in areas like Houston, anywhere you see black people thriving. We continue to have this crab in a bucket mentality. We gotta stop. We gotta find a way to come up with better solutions. So to the family of Migos, especially the Quavo and Offset, I know that they may or may not ever hear this podcast, but if they somehow come across it, man, we definitely are praying for y'all. We're definitely praying for the family, for Quavo's sister, because we know she's probably going through it right now. Like the whole fam is probably just, I know that they are torn apart by this. And ultimately, man, the best way to highlight this is just to continue to push Takeoff's music and just continue to listen to it and keep his memory alive. That's really the best way to push forward. At least in my opinion, I will probably be bumping Migos all week now, and I wasn't
Can I
expecting
say
to do
something real
that.
quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, Shout out to Gwinnett County. Shout out to the North. Um, I'm a really pinpoint something. Shout out to Lawrenceville. If you know, you know.
Mm,
Um, the last house that they was in when they all stayed together before they moved on to get bigger during the bad and bougie days. Um, Shout out to the entire 678 404. We're gonna be all right, y'all. We lost a lot this year. Free Thug and free Gunna. I don't care. It's fine. But this here hurts. And being here, feeling it. I too also have been bumping Migos all day today and will continue as I've always done.
Mm-hmm.
But love and nothing but love and life for me personally, and especially here, being in the epicenter of it all. Like it's different today. So, like I said, shout out to Gwinnett County for sure, Lawrenceville particularly, and all the ATL. We hurting bad. So we love you, Takeoff. We are extremely gonna miss you really bad. Prayers to Quavo, prayers to Offset and the family and the kids and everyone involved, and also friends, close friends, relatives, and business partners, whoever. Shout out to the toy drive they do every year during Christmas and also Thanksgiving. I'm wondering if they're gonna even do that now. But that's all I had to say. I had to make sure I just wrap my arms around Atlanta so much that has literally grown me over the last year and a half. It has taken great care of me. So I love this place like it's home, and I don't want nothing but the best from here. So just wanted to send love and light to the city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Definitely. As we close, man, definitely rest in peace to Kirshnik Khari Ball. My Takeoff, bro. Like, definitely love his music, and shout out to all of Gwinnett County, man. I know that y'all are going through it right now. I think as Johnny stated, man, we're gonna be all right eventually. You know, just let it. As we get through it these next couple of days, just again keep his memory alive and keep the conversation going about what we can do to change the way that we think about things and change the way hip hop culture has gone, and continue to come up with these solutions and hopefully find ways to implement them into our culture so that the youth don't continuously get caught in this vicious cycle. With that, I will go ahead and close out. Shout out to all the black podcasts, the black businesses, the black artists, and the I'm trying to think, the black content creators that we usually shout out. I'm gonna skip that part today. All I can say is, continue to support the Chaotic Culture podcast. Be sure that you like, share, and subscribe to us. Follow all of our accounts. Again, you can follow Jay Lee Trey at Jay Lee Trey on all of his accounts, including TikTok. You can follow me, Ked the Pro, K3D the Pro on all social media. Follow Sappy on all social media at Scraps14. Follow Law on Instagram at L.JR_96 and on Twitter at Law96_. And follow Chanasa on all social media at _Call Me Nasa. Be sure you follow this podcast. That's Chaotic Culture Podcast on Facebook, at Chaotic Culture Pod on Instagram, and Chaotic_Culture on Twitter. We definitely appreciate you guys tuning in today. Again, this was a surprise episode, but it had to be done. We had to talk about it and get it out of our system because this one really hurt. So definitely continue to listen in to other episodes. Definitely check out our last episode with Elena. Be sure that you check out that interview. It was a dope interview. And then check out other episodes from season 4 all the way back to season 1. We definitely appreciate your support. Johnny, did you have any other final words?
Nah, I actually don't. Every black podcast, black anime podcast, we support them. Show go high, we up.
Yes, sir.
see y'all in a couple of days.
Yep.
From this pod releasing in a couple of days. And yeah, man. ATL, I love y'all. Y'all love me too, I know, but we'll be all right.
Absolutely. All right, guys. With that being said, this has been another edition of the Chaotic Culture Podcast. So until next time, folks, remember, embrace the culture. Chaos rules. Be blessed. Be safe. God is love. Deuces.
But you feel the heat. Be real with me. Keep it 100. Just be real with me. Eat it up like it's a feast. They say the dope on fleek.
Percocet pill on me. Ice on my neck, baby, chill with me. Them niggas that fucked in the back don't say nothing, them niggas a kill for me. Back as I can in my sleep, on fleek. 100K spent on that patty for lead. Bitch, I'm a dog in my tree. Hop out the frog and leap. I put them bricks in the fender. My bitch, she walk around like she Kris Jenner. I used to break in the Emma, then take out running like the game of Temple. It's simple, I play with a mantle. Mama say she saw me on Jimmy Kimmel. Canada, cause I'm a money symbol. Walking with the rats, I'm looking crippled. Fuck on that bitch, then I temple. A nickel for me to take pictures. Not from LA, but I clip her. Double my cup or a triple. Box on my body, no biblical. I'm not your average or typical. Look at my wrist and it's critical. Hold it up, dropping the temperature. I get that bag on the regular. I got a bag on my cellular. Back in the bag of them vegetables. Bag of them cookies, it's medical. Cocaine, codeine, etc. Cocaine and lean is federal. I take off landing on Nebula. As an Nats when the M's on my schedule.
You get the bag and fumble it, I get the bag and flip it and tumble it.
Look, it's chaos in these streets, so let's talk about it, please. Let's hold some conversation. You see where I'm coming from. Yes, it's so amazing. Go ahead, get comfortable. You can grab a seat, take a load off your feet. Yeah, welcome to the table. We don't tell no lies over here. This ain't no fable. We just live our lives over here. We ain't no angels. We just shine our light over here. We got the power. We just showing love over here. Cause everybody needs some, yeah. And we don't need a